Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the Empowered Educator. Hopefully, you've been having a great start to April. I know I didn't come on last week and do an episode because I had a lot going on and I just didn't get it done. But I think we're all in that place as we get into April, middle of April, and then going into May and starting to wrap things up. I know for us here in Houston, we started state assessments this week. I think the whole state actually started them, and we have another few weeks to go, about two more, and then once that happens, we're into May. I know, can you believe it? And then we all know what the whirlwind of May for us here in Texas looks like. And for those of you in districts that wrap up in May, and then if you're not a district that wraps up in May, you're just getting into those end of the year things, end of the year assessments, end of the year celebrations, making sure students have their grades and all of their work complete so you can get those final grades in, making sure that you're thinking about future placements for students. And if there are any of our school administrators tuning in, we know we're already 1 foot out of this year into the next, right? So it's busy. I truly believe the start of the school year is busy. And I truly believe the month between Thanksgiving and Christmas is busy. But I don't think there's any time more busy and could become very chaotic quickly than the end of the school year, the last month of the year. It's funny because this week's conversation is really going to talk about some of these things, but I did notice, and this happens every year, students start to shut down this time of year, meaning once they take their state assessments, they start to wonder, what else do we have to do? And honestly, I'm going to speak from experience. We as teachers do that too, right? We're tired, ready to go. We want to start having fun. We've been pushing so hard, but we also have to realize we give up a little bit of control right now, things are going to get out of hand really quick. So it's important that we continue to develop great lessons, be engaging and fun, but still keep control over student behaviors. All right, so this week I wanted to talk about how do we go into a school year when we are focused on school improvement efforts? So I was a turnaround principal, and when I would go into my campuses for the first year, it was all about finding the big levers and making the new changes and supporting the staff that remained with me and bringing in my new people and building the relationships between all my staff and trying to get students on board. It was all about doing those things very strategically so that everybody could buy into the mission and the vision that I had and get on board with the goals because I couldn't do it alone. I needed my people to be on board with me. Now, if your school leader has been there for a while, but you want to continue to grow, or maybe you are experiencing a year that just wasn't exactly what you were anticipating, change has to happen. And oftentimes, as teachers, I've been there, we think, oh, it's the responsibility of the leadership team. And you're right. As a former school principal, I took all of that responsibility onto me and my team until I realized that if it was just the Sherry show or if it was just the leadership team show, we were only going to go so far. Now, I can take us far. I have some good skills and some great experience, some awesome wisdom, and I'm very strategic about the work I do. But I am going to tell you that the highest lever to get schools to that beautiful level we're all shooting for, whatever your accountability systems are, whatever your standard is for success, the principal cannot do it alone. The leadership team cannot be the only ones buying in. So the question becomes, well, okay, but I'm just a classroom teacher. What really can I do that's going to move the needle? And I love that question because you're not just the classroom teacher. You are one of the most important ingredients in the building. They say that the principal is the top, what do I want to say, indicator of success, right? If the principal comes in and they're all about transformation and building relationships and empowering people and understand what they're doing, and they can do that, that the school can go anywhere. And I do truly believe that. If you don't have a principal that is ready and willing and able, you're going to struggle, because I've seen that happen too. But I truly believe a bigger indicator of campus success is the caliber of your teachers, the motivation of your teachers, the relationships with and that your teachers have with each other. Those are the things that are going to make a difference, because you're on the front lines every single day. So kudos to you. I bet you didn't know you stepped into such an important position, right? Now, knowing that, how do we actually affect school turnaround, school improvement, any strategic change that's going on in your building? I think this is such a powerful episode for me, because I always wanted my teachers to ask that. And I have to say, my top teachers asked that question. So I want to give you a rundown of the few things that I think are really important for our classroom teachers to think about when we're supporting the principal, the leadership team, the community, and making successful change on our campuses. The first thing that we have to do, is we have to understand the mission, vision, and goals of the school leader. If we don't understand that, we're all going to be going in different directions, right? It was interesting the other day. I was walking my dog. We were at the dog park, and it had rained earlier in the day. Now, down here in Houston, when it rains, the ants, A-N-T-S, the ants, come out like crazy. And they build their little mounds, and then they do their little things. And we have ants that bite down here. I know up in Iowa where I grew up, we didn't have biting ants. This was something I had to acclimate to. But these ants bite. So you have to be really, really careful. But we were walking at the dog park, and Cobain kept going and walking and running and playing with other dogs. And I happened to look down because my shoe came untied. And I noticed the ants. And it just floored me what I saw. As a matter of fact, I got on my phone, FaceTime my daughter, and I said, "Oh my God, look at this." The ants were coming from one ant mound on one side of the sidewalk across in a very, very nice straight line to the other side of the sidewalk. Okay, that's not a big deal, right? However, every ant was carrying a leaf. A tiny little leaf, because we have trees. I live in a kind of a new area, so our trees are kind of young, and the leaves were really small. And it was so uniformed and so set up. I started to think, those ants know exactly what the goal is. They know exactly what the mission and the vision of that queen ant, or whoever is in charge of that mound, right, is. They were all working toward the success of their ant mound. Now, I know it sounds very simplistic and weird maybe to say to compare ourselves to ants as educators, but the concept is the same. When we know the leader's mission and vision, the goals set for the school year, then we can all do our part effectively and efficiently, and we can build something amazing. So I challenge you, as you get ready to go into this next school year, whether you're staying on your campus, changing campuses, whatever it is, starting brand new as a teacher, your one most important thing is to really understand the leader's mission, vision, and goals. so that you can support them 100%. Now, I do want to say this one thing. If you feel like you're on a campus where you can't support them, this is your time to start looking for something else. Don't just stay there stuck and then complain. I think we do that a lot, and I know I'm being a little bit rough right now, and I apologize up front for that. But if we are not happy where we are, the only people that are going to come to save us are ourselves. And chances are your leader might not be going anywhere. So just keep that in mind as you're going into next school year. But if you're in a place that you know this is the place for me and I really want to support the change process that's going to take place on my campus, get in there, figure out what's going on so that you too can be like one of those ants working toward the success of the campus. All right, the second thing, and this one is so big, y'all. I'm taking a breath. I want you to take a breath too. It is up to us as classroom teachers to do our job. I know, it's hard. I know. And I know it's frustrating when we feel like maybe we're not supported the way we want to be. I know that it can be overwhelming and stressful when we're consistently up against deadlines, angry parents, and all of the things. And I'm not going to tell you that I never had angry parents, that I never had behavior problems in my class, because I did. I never had bad days because I did. I never had times that I said I wanted to quit because I did. But I am going to tell you this. When I realized that it was my responsibility to do my part, to really think about my job description and take care of the things that I could take care of the best way I could, because nobody was going to come in and fix it for me. The alternative of me not doing it, and I worked on a campus where the principal, love her, she was a mentor of mine for years, got me almost all of my principal positions, and I would walk through fire for her. But she held us to a very high standard, and we knew if we didn't pull our end, we didn't have a job the next year. It was just that reality. I think over the years, especially since COVID, and especially since, I don't know about all states, but here in Texas, we have done a lot of interesting things when it comes to hiring because we don't have high quality certified teachers available. We have lowered the standard with who's prepared, who really is motivated to teach, or are we just bringing people in because they need a job? Because I've always followed the philosophy, I can teach you to teach. I can teach you strategy, but I can't teach you to care. And it's not about just caring for our students, caring for our families, caring for our community and our campus. It's caring for your job. It's caring for your reputation. I have also seen this. People who have been struggling can turn that around. Look, I was the turnaround queen for campuses, right? I walked into some of the most difficult campuses. And I'll be honest, when I walked out, they were not number one, but they were not number 7,052 anymore either. Change can happen, but it can't happen if we don't all take the responsibility for the work that we have to do. So what does that look like for us in the classroom? It means setting up a management system that's going to address the majority of the concerns. As a matter of fact, your management system should address 95% of the issues that typically happen in a school day. And I say 95 because you're going to have 5% of students, 3 to 5, that's our number, that are going to not be able to respond or have other issues or something going on. But wow, 95%? How many of you growing up would have been over the moon with a 95% on your report card? Exactly, right? Then we have to make sure that we have systems for managing our own time and getting the tasks done, like planning. Because if we don't plan, we're going to fail. Like getting grades in on time, because if we don't do that, parents are going to be upset and we're going to fail. Like being able to get the work done within the school day with a reasonable amount of time, possibly after school if needed, so that we can still take care of our own mental health and well-being and our families, then we're going to fail. I remember there was one year I walked into this last school and I had been there a couple of years. And I had started to think about the importance of how I found, and it happened by accident, but I found that my second year as an assistant principal, was in a really, really tough situation. And I was struggling, and my stress level was out of control. And I was in my 30s, early 30s, and I was feeling like I was 50. And I'm not lying. I was working late, I was stressing all the time. I didn't know what was going to go on, and I did not like it. And I started that year back into running. And then I moved into the principal role and I was able to continue to run. And I found that I had a system for when I went out on a run, the first half of the run, I ran away from my house. And I just let all the things that from the day just go. Sometimes I'd even talk them out, right? And then on my way back, I would breathe in new, fresh, positive. And I made that a practice for me. So as I went into this last school and I saw how hard we were working, not only did we make big change the first year, but then we started to have other hurdles happen. And this was the year we had Hurricane Harvey, and it was just such a big disaster. And I needed to support my staff. So I thought, okay, let's do this big push for health and well-being. So I called my staff in for a staff meeting and I talked to them about how do you take care of you? Many of them had no plan, no clue, no idea. So we spent the day or that evening, afternoon, mapping out one thing we were going to start doing to take care of ourselves. I gave them a time to plan it. They walked out with a plan. I checked in with my people because I had great relationships with my staff. And I asked them how it was going. And I had a staff of about 65 staff members at that school. And five had been continuing with their plan 2 to 3 months in. 5. And by the end of the school year, 2 out of 65. At first, I felt like such a failure as a leader, right? I felt like, wow, am I just stressing them? Am I overworking them? Am I not being a great leader? But then I realized, I gave them the time. I gave them an opportunity to plan with input or support from me if needed. And I told them they didn't all have to be runners, but they had to do something. They made a choice not to do it. They didn't follow through on their responsibilities. So we need to be sure that we have a system for ourselves, that we can manage our time, we can manage our stress levels, we can have harmony in our life. There's never going to be balance. I'm just going to be real with you. But when we have harmony, everything comes together and it supports the other and gives and takes when it needs to. So, harmony, well-being, take care of you, and manage your time. That's number 2. And finally, the third thing that we have to do is we have to own the work we do. If we are struggling with managing our classroom, with providing solid tier 1 instruction, with communicating with families, whatever it is, take responsibility for it. Because when you feel a sense of ownership, it's going to change the way you approach it, meaning you'll make adjustments, you'll reflect, you'll change something that's not working so that it can work well. Because again, we all know about teams. We all know about the ants now, right? We all know that one person, they can start the change, but they cannot effectively make all of the change happen alone. It's going to take everyone. And in my opinion, as I mentioned, you are the front line. You are the key ingredient to your campus's success. Such an awesome responsibility, in my opinion, but nonetheless. All right, y'all, it is the middle of April. It is time to just buckle down, get through the remainder of the year, try to have some fun. Don't forget why you did this. And continue to listen to these episodes. Follow me on social media. I always put out some good little tips every day so that you can also enhance your thought processes. And if you need more support than that, I have a couple of things I'm working on. One thing right now is something that I'm in the very beginning development stage, thinking about a little something to take place in June when we know that's when we typically do our summer staff development. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be life-changing for teachers in the classroom. And then, of course, head over to the Uncommon platform, get on that membership platform because every month we have new professional development opportunities that come along so that you can watch them from anywhere and take care of your needs, get strategies that you can actually implement immediately in your classroom. And it's only $30 a month. So, you can't beat that. All right. Have an amazing week ahead. Remember, I love you. I'm here to support you. Go out and do big things for our kids because you're that important. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week right back here on The Empowered Educator.